Hey everybody, I'm gonna give you a second to join on in. This is inspired by my mother today. She called me yesterday and she was talking about this, but this was we had a conversation Friday about this, and she called me yesterday right before the women's conference, and she was talking about this and saying that I need to talk about it. So today's topic is inspired by my mom. So you guys join on in. I'm going to give you the title of it. I am outside, so you're going to hear a little chitter chatter. Good afternoon. I had a lazy day today. I had a lazy day today, so I started a little late, but here we are. And today's we're going to be in John 18 and John 21. Let me go look at 21 really quick. So you guys join on in. And I said 21. Okay. Hi everybody. I pray your morning has been well, or afternoon, depending on what side of the world you are on. Isn't that crazy? We're talking about what side of the world. Look at God. Not just what side of town or what side of the country. It's like, what side of the world are you on? God has said, I'm going to be worldwide. Look at there. Look at all of us. This is beautiful. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. If you're joining in, I'm going to be in John. And I was telling everyone that this topic is inspired by my mom. We were talking about this Friday, and then she called me yesterday morning, and she was talking about it again, and she was saying how I need to speak on it. And at first, I was like, okay. And then last night, God had just walked with me and talked with me about it. And he told me to tell you guys the title is going to be The Disciple You Love. The Disciple You Love. And, yeah, that's where we're going to leave it at. So just a little backdrop. It was 12 disciples and Jesus. And Peter, before Jesus died, Peter was like the rock. He was like the gangster of the bunch. Like he'll cut somebody's ear off, and like he was a fighter. But when it came time for persecution, and Jesus was telling him this was what's going to happen, and Peter was like, I will never deny you. I would never. And Jesus was like, by the time the crow calls 3 times, you would deny me. And Peter was like, no, I won't. No, I won't. This is an example of people, not necessarily like Peter, because Peter was always with Jesus. And after Jesus died, Peter was still with him too. It's just in a moment of trial and tribulation, there are going to be people that are going to say, I got your back, I got your back, I got your back. When in actuality, they might mean well, and they might mean it in the moment. But when persecution comes, people get to running, because not everybody can withstand the fire. And even though Peter was the rock, even rocks fold sometime with the right amount of pressure. And he had saw Jesus get ready to get persecuted and all this stuff, and he folded. But Jesus had already knew. He knew that Judas was going to betray him. He knew that Peter was going to deny him. He knew that he was going to have to go get persecuted. He knew that. He even told him, when you pierce my side, it's going to be the living water and the blood and all of that stuff. And when they pierced his side, they saw the water falling out. They saw the water. He was the living well. And Peter meant well. He really did. He wanted to be by Jesus' side. He wanted to be that disciple that Jesus loved so much. He was the first one that knew that Jesus was the Christ and all of the above. But with the right amount of pressure, some people will fall. With me, I don't expect a lot of people to fight a battle with me. I go into war geared up to defend myself. Either I rise or I fall, but I got me. Peter was just so trying to convince Jesus that I got you. I got you. But Jesus already knew, you ain't got me. You ain't rocking with me like you say you rocking with me. I don't care what your mouth say. I'm looking at your heart. I'm looking at your heart, because I can see things that you cannot. And this is why God has been moving certain people out of your life, certain family members, certain lovers, certain friends. God has been removing them out of your life because they're saying, I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you. Don't worry about it. When the bill come up, when the car break down, when the baby act up, when the job act up, when your man leave you, I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you, I got you, I got you. But God is saying, I know that they don't got you like they say they got you. I know that they're not rocking with you like they say they rocking with you. When they say, oh, if you lose your house, girl, you can come stay with me, and then 2-3 days later they kick you out, it's because God said, I knew that they weren't built for tough. I knew that they wasn't gonna be rocking with you like they said they was gonna be rocking with you. their mouth can say one thing, but their inner part is saying other. And God is saying, that is why I have to remove the leaves from the tree. Sometimes I have to have a strong wind to come in your life and remove certain people out. That's why when you see the falling, it happens so quickly. And you're like, well, dang, my life was together, but now this person ain't here and that person ain't here. And God says, because you are about to face the fire. And I don't need you to expect these people to be with you in the fire, because they're going to deny you, and they're going to deny you ever was around them. So let me get to the text. So here we go. I'm going to be in John 18. I'm going to start off in 15 through 18. This is the first time that Peter denies Jesus. It says, Simon Peter and another disciple followed Jesus. The other disciple was well known to the chief priests. So the disciple went to Jesus and into the chief prince's courtyard. Peter, however, was standing outside the gate. The other disciple talked to a woman who was a gatekeeper and brought Peter into the courtyard. The gatekeeper asked Peter, aren't you one of the man's disciples too? Peter answered, no, I'm not. The servant and the guards were standing around, and they were standing around the fire, and they had built warming themselves because it was cold. Peter was standing there too, warming himself with others. The chief priest questioned Jesus about the other disciples and his teachings. Jesus answered them, and I have spoken publicly for everyone here. I have always taught in synagogues or in temples of the courtyard. So that was the very first time that that Peter had denied Jesus. So we're going to go down to another one, which is, what is this? 25 through 27. It says, Simon Peter continued to stand and warm himself by the fire. Some men asked, aren't you too one of his disciples? Peter denied it by saying, no, I am not. One of the chief priest servants, a relative of the man whose ear to Peter had been cut off, asked, didn't I see you with Jesus in the garden? Peter again denied it, just then a rooster crowed. So Peter, the man, the second time had remembered him because Peter had cut his ear off. He even lied to the man that he cut his ear off when he was walking with Jesus. Listen, there are going to be people that are going to be with you, that you're going to want to take with you. But God is not going to allow you to take certain people, because if you take these certain people, they're going to leave you in the dark. They're going to leave you fumbling in the dark. And at one point, you see the oxymoronic statement in here. The man had got his ear cut off by Peter. Peter knowing he cut the man's ear off. The man knowing that Peter cut his ear off. He asked Peter in front of everybody, aren't you a disciple too? Peter said, no. Run it back. Well, aren't you the same one that was bold enough to cut a man's ear off when they were taking the Messiah? But in the same breath, you say, oh no, that wasn't me. Do you see how your enemies begin to fold when pressure comes on them, even when they're presented with evidence that this is them? See, a lie don't care who it tell. It will say it right then and there. If you put enough pressure on the right people, you'll see the results that you see with Peter. Peter was terrified that he was about to get nailed to that cross too. Even though he told Jesus he would be with him wherever he go. I will follow you. I will do this, this, and that. I will die for you. Well, here comes an example for you to die. There was a time for you to give up your life, and you quickly retract it. Here we are with people in your life. We're going to be best friends forever. We're going to be lovers forever. It's me and you forever. You're carving your name in trees. You're getting your name tatted here. You're getting his name tatted here, here, and there. You're getting pictures all on the neck. You're doing all of these things trying to prove that you're going to be the forever and always. But when the forever and always begins to get pressure on it, all of a sudden people get to folding. The boat get to rocking and people get to running. Because everyone isn't meant to be forever and always. And it's always, to me, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but it's always the people that be like, I'm with you forever. I'm your ride or die. It's me and you against the world. Best friends forever. They're not. It's always the ones that you don't expect. It's always the friends that you don't expect are the ones that are going to be there for you when time gets hard. It's always the quiet ones that never said I got your back. They don't really even rock with you like that. But they're the ones that are going to have your back. And strangers will come from the highways and the byways to have your back and bless you. Remember, Jesus said he could do very few miracles in his hometown. His hometown was supposed to have his back. He was born there. They were supposed to be like, yeah, that's Mary's boy. Yeah, that's Joseph's boy. We seen him do this, this, and that. We seen him leave his family when he was 12 years old and go to worship in the synagogues. We seen all of this, but the hometown turned their back on him too. He can do very few miracles because they were so familiar with him. They were so familiar with him that they almost mistook him as regular. And ain't nothing regular about somebody like you. And they're going to miss out on an opportunity of a lifetime because they're thinking about you as being regular. They're laughing with you and they remember the old time you. They don't see this new version of you. They don't see this God-fearing you. They don't see this anointed you. All they see is Mary's boy. All they see is the carpenter's son. That's all they saw when they saw Jesus. That's it. And the best friends forever wasn't so best friends forever when enough pressure was applied. Let me go to John 21 really quick. Let me dive into this because this is going to get a little, this is when it's called the disciple that you love. This is why. Let me read. Later by the Sea of Tiberias, Jesus showed himself again to disciples. This is what happened. Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, Zebedee's son, and 2 other disciples of Jesus were together. Simon Peter and others said to others, I'm going fishing. They told him, we're going with you. They went out in the boat, but they didn't catch a thing that night. At the sun's rising, Jesus stood on the shore. The disciples didn't realize that it was Jesus. Jesus asked them, friends, haven't you caught any fish? They answered him, no, we have not. He told them, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you'll catch some. So they threw the net out and were unable to pull it in because so many fish were in it. The disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, pay attention to the title. The disciple who Jesus loved said to Peter, it's the Lord. When Simon Peter heard it was the Lord, he put back on his clothes that he had taken off and jumped into the sea. The other disciples came out of the boat and dragged the net full of fish. They weren't far from the shore, only about 100 yards. When they went ashore, they saw a fire with the fish lying on coals. They started a fire with the fish lying on coals. They saw a loaf of bread. Jesus told them, bring some of the fish you've just caught. Simon Peter got into the boat and pulled the net ashore. Though the net was filled with 153 large fish, it was not torn. Jesus told them, come have breakfast. None of the disciples dared to ask who he was. They knew he was the Lord. Jesus took the bread and gave it to them, and he did the same with the fish. This was the 3rd time that Jesus showed himself to disciples after he came back to life. After they have eaten breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than the other disciples do? Peter answered him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus told him, feed my lambs. Jesus asked him a 2nd time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter answered him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus told him, take care of my sheep. Jesus asked him a 3rd time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter felt sad because Jesus had asked him a 3rd time, do you love me? So Peter said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus told him, feed my sheep. I can guarantee this truth. When you were young, you will get ready to go where you wanted. But when you're old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will get you ready to take you where you don't want to go. Jesus said, to show by the kind of death Peter would bring glory to God. After saying this, Jesus told him, follow me. Peter turned around and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved. The disciple was following him. The disciple was following them. He was the one who leaned against Jesus' chest at the supper and asked, Lord, who is going to betray you? When Peter saw him, he asked Jesus, Lord, what about him? Jesus said to Peter, if I want him to live until I come again, how does that concern you? Follow me. So a rumor that the disciple would not die spread amongst Jesus' followers. But Jesus did not say that he wouldn't die. What Jesus said was, if I want him to live until I come again, how does that concern you? This disciple was an eyewitness to these things that had been written down. We know that what he says is true. Jesus also did many other things. So let me stop right there. He was telling Simon Peter, and the reason why he asked Simon Peter 3 times, do you love me? 1, he denied him 3 times. So he had to bring it up 3 times to make sure remember you denied me 3 times. Bet you remember. So I'm going to ask you 3 times. Do you love me more than the other disciples? So after he told him, then feed my sheep. After he had this intimate conversation with him, Peter still had other things on his mind besides what Jesus had already told him, which is to feed my sheep. He looked back at the disciple whom Jesus loved and said, what about him? Jesus had literally gave him his own assignment. And instead of saying, let me go get some sheep, let me go gather some sheep and start feeding and giving them testimonies and go and gather God's sheep, he looked back again, minding somebody else's business, forgetting that he was a betrayer too. Forgetting that he denied Jesus too. What about him? What about the disciple that you so love? What about him? If I wanted him to live until I come back, that's my business. But I'm not saying that. I'm telling you, Simon Peter, to go feed my sheep. It don't matter what you did. I know that you denied me. I know that you betrayed me. I know that you ran butt naked through a crowd because you didn't want to die. I know all of that. I'm not even bringing that up. All I'm bringing up is, do you love me? And if you love me like you say you love me, then go and feed my sheep. Go and feed my sheep. Even in my death, I come back and y'all not even feeding my sheep. Y'all are worried about filling y'all bellies out here doing what I first saw when I first met y'all, being fishermen in the sea. When I made you fishers of men, and here y'all are back in the boat doing what I first saw y'all doing, and I told y'all to pick up y'all nets and follow me. But what did y'all do? When I died, y'all went back to that life. God is saying, I'm telling you, don't you go back. Don't you look back. Ain't nothing there. You see, when you went back into that boat and tried to live that same life, you weren't able to catch anything. And the same thing I told y'all when I first met y'all is to cast y'all net on the other side. That is when I first met you. I said, cast your net to the other side. And here I am after death. I'm telling y'all again, cast your net to the other side. And y'all are still pulling out net breaking blessings when I'm in my death. And instead of going and feeding my actual fish, you went back to being a fisherman of the sea. When I said, I need you to be fishers of men. Get out of that boat. I'm going to show you that even in my death, I still do miracles. Cast your net to the other side. They cast it, and they had like 153 large fish. And they had to drag it into the boat. And then when they dragged it into the boat, they pulled the boat into the inland. And when they came inland, they saw Jesus already making him some fish, minding his own business. And he was ready with his parables. Because he was like, didn't I tell y'all to feed my sheep? And when I died, y'all felt convicted because you denied me. Oh, well, what did I tell you when I was living? I said, go feed my sheep. Go feed my sheep. What are you doing still living this same redundant life? What are you doing going backwards? Did I tell you to go backwards? Did I die for nothing? Did I die for nothing? Feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. Who cares that you stumbled? Who cares that you denied me? I'm not even going to bring up that you denied me. All I'm going to ask is if you love me. And if you truly love me like you say you do, feed my sheep. It don't matter that you deny me. It don't matter that you run butt naked trying to hide and tell everybody you don't know me. It don't matter how many times that you stumbled and fell. It don't matter how many times you went down addiction alley. It don't matter how many times you laid in somebody's bed. It don't matter how many times you cursed me. It don't matter how many times. Get back up and feed my sheep. Feed my sheep. I'm not bringing up the past. All is forgiven. I told you to go make fishers out of men. I told you to go make disciples. I didn't tell you to go back because you stumbled and fell. I told you to get up and go out and tell everybody about somebody that could change anybody. That is what I'm telling you. Go feed my sheep. Peter still didn't get it. When Jesus came back, he still didn't get it. He told him 3 times, go feed my sheep. But Peter still was minding everybody's business but his own. He was still trying to say, but you over here loving him more than me. You asking me, do I love you? Do I love you? Do I love you? But you're not worried about the disciple that you love more than everybody else. Go feed my sheep. If I want him to live, I'll let him live. But you go feed my sheep. You got a job to do. Don't worry about what he doing over there. Don't worry about what that pastor doing there. Make a church and people take up people money. I'll handle that. That's not for you to handle. That's not for you to bring down. I'll bring them down. What I'm telling you to do is go feed my sheep. What I'm telling you to do is go feed my sheep. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. Stop worrying about trying to go convict somebody else. You do what I tell you to do. And that is go feed my sheep. Come on, God. I'm going to close off because I ain't gonna take y'all on a roller coaster. I'm going to close off. Go clean my house. I'm going to close off. I'm going to say this. Stay the course. Stay the course. God has given each and every one of us an assignment. Each and every one of us has a specific assignment. And we have specific sheep that are going to hear the voice when God is speaking through us. Each of us have an assignment. And we have a flock that is assigned to the voice. All you have to do is do what God has told you to do. Whether that's uploading a video and telling your testimony, whether that's feeding some homeless people, whether that's going out and starting a business, whether that's just sitting there talking to a stranger that you never know. Whatever it is that is assigned to your voice, whatever it is, you have a job to do. And God is saying, Simon Peter, feed my sheep. Don't look back. Don't look left and don't look right saying what other people are doing. God is telling you to go feed his sheep. Don't worry about feeling like you're not good enough. Excuse me. Don't worry about what this person got and they're way more powerful and this and that. So what? So what? I don't care if they've been a pastor for 15 years. Who cares? You get up there and you speak with all your might because God is behind you. So what? You don't got their calling. You got your calling. You don't got their anointing. You got your anointing. You got what God put inside of you. You got your power that God has put inside of you. And it's time for you to walk in the anointing and the calling that God has given you. Stop looking at everybody feeling like you're inadequate, like the room is too big for you when God says, I created you for this room. The room wouldn't even be here if you wouldn't get ready to walk into it. The table wouldn't even be here if you wouldn't get ready to come sit at it. God is saying, I have a lot of things for you if you just start getting into the flow. Getting into the flow. Stop worrying about what you did in your past life. I ain't even condemning you. I forgave that. I let it go. Peter, I don't care that you denied me. I don't care that you did tarot readings. I don't care that you was a medium. I don't care that you was a psychic. I don't care that you was a voodoo person. I don't care that you was a witchcraft person. I don't care. I don't care. All I care about is if you finna go feed my sheep. I don't care. All I care about is if you love me and if you do go feed my sheep. That's all I care about. Don't let me die for nothing. Don't let me die for nothing. I didn't die on that cross. I didn't get pierced in my side. I didn't get nailed to that cross for you to get back out in that boat and go back to your regular life. I didn't die for you to go back out there and do the normal. I died that you would feed my sheep and go tell the world about me. Get out that boat. Get out that boat. And go tell the world about my sheep. Go feed my sheep. Don't let me die for nothing. It wasn't all for nothing. Get out there and do what I told you to do. Get out there and do what I told you to do. Don't let me die in vain. Don't let me die in vain, my God. God is saying, don't let him die in vain. Don't you sit around here and sleep on yourself because you're thinking that you're not good enough. Because you're thinking that you're not good enough. That when you get into that room, that the room isn't for you. God said that I made the room specifically for you. I made the table specifically for you. Don't you let Jesus die for nothing. Don't you sit back and say, I'm not good enough to be that wife. I'm not good enough to be that entrepreneur. I'm not good enough. Don't let him die in vain. Don't you say, I can't do it. You're more than capable. You're more than capable of doing what you need to do. People need to hear what you have to say to get set free. People have to hear what you say to get set free. And when Jesus was looking at Peter, back doing what he met him doing when he first saw him, back on that boat fishing, catching nothing. Ain't no fish finna come until Jesus tell you to get off that boat and do what I told you to do again. Don't you look back. There's nothing there. There is nothing there for you to look back for. There is nothing back in your past. The present needs you. Your future needs you. You gotta get up again. You gotta get up again. Your future needs you. It's waiting on you to walk through those doors. Your future needs you to walk through those doors. You already are well acquainted with the past. The past knows you so well. You do the past so well, but what about your future? What about your future? It's knocking. It's just waiting on you to walk through the door. And Jesus is saying, don't let me die in vain. Don't let me die in vain. Don't let me die in vain. Why do you keep going back? When I told you to go tell your story, when I told you to go tell your testimony, when I told you to go start that business, when I told you to be a better woman so you can be a wife, when I told you to be a better man so you could be that husband, or a better father, you didn't even see your father, and you got the nerve not to raise these kids. You didn't have a good mother, and you have the nerve to leave these kids in foster care. Get sober so you can get them kids. Be in your kids' life and raise them kids. Break them generational curses. Don't you sit out here and let me die for nothing. Listen, I'm finna get ready to get off. Y'all already got me emotional. God is saying you have specific instructions. Specific instructions. And your future needs you. Your past needs to be divorced. And you need to walk into what God has told you that you need to do. You need to walk into your future. It is waiting on you. Your past has already happened. Come out of it. Don't you go into 2023 doing the same thing, rolling up another blunt because you can't divorce it. Because Mary Jane knows your name so well. Because you've been smoking on Mary Jane since you was 13. Don't go into it doing the same thing, drinking your life away. One drink after another drink. Don't go into 2023 working at that same job that you tired of, but you afraid to leave because your bills going to keep piling up, and God is saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I can do it all. I already have provision for you assigned to you. Don't you go into 2023 in that same relationship getting knocked across your head because you're afraid to leave because he's the only person that ever loved you. But you don't love you because if you did, you'll leave. You'll know your value. You'll know your worth. Don't you go into 2023 with that same mindset. I need you to know who you are. I need you to know who you are. Don't you go into 2023 broken, thinking that this is just another year. You're not going to get another breakthrough when you are all ready to break through. When you are all ready to break through, all you got to do is walk through them doors, baby. All you got to do is walk through them doors. Your future is waiting on you to get it together. You are your worst enemy. You are thinking that you're not good enough when God says you are more than enough. You are beyond capable, that you can do all things. All you got to do is believe in yourself, baby. All you got to do is believe in yourself. That's all God is asking for, is you to believe in yourself just like you believe in him. If you believe that Jesus was real and you believe that he died on that cross and you believe that he do miracles and signs and wonders, why can't you believe in yourself? Because he lives inside of you. Why can't you believe in yourself like you believe in God? All you got to do is walk and your future is right there, baby. That's it. That's it. Stop saying that you can't. In 2023, take the word can't out your vocabulary. Every time that you say can't, say I can. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And when they tell you that you can't, you look them in the face and you say, I can do all things. All. Because you can and you will. You can and you will. You can do it. Ain't nothing stopping you but you, baby. Ain't no limits on you but the limits that you put on you, baby. You can do this. Life might be hard, yes. You talking to somebody that knows about being hard life. You talking about somebody that knows about being broken and homeless and busted and threatening suicide and all of the above. You talking to somebody that said I couldn't. But God says you can. And you can do it. You can do all things. There is nothing impossible. And there is nothing stopping you. There is no wall too big. And I don't care if you didn't graduate high school. Get a baby's book. You go into that library with confidence and you go to the infant section and you get a book and you sit there with your alphabets. And I don't care who's around you. You sound out them doggone syllables. You sound out A, B, B. You sound it out and you start all over again. You start all over again. You start from the freaking beginning and you begin to start running. I don't care who's telling you you're not good enough. I don't care who you look crazy for. Because when you get that diploma, you're going to look good walk across that stage, baby. I don't care if you're 60. You start from the beginning and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. You keep going. You ain't too old. You just ain't started yet. You just ain't started yet. Stop worrying about what you look like to the world because, baby, they hiding their own demons. They hiding their own demons. You start all over again how many times you need to as long as you keep starting. As long as you keep starting. As long as you keep starting. It don't matter. It don't matter. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't stop no matter what. Don't stop no matter what. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. It might be hard at first. Just like my vision, I made a video today, riding a bicycle. You start one pedal at a time and you fall and you get back up. But you fall and you keep getting back up. You're going to get back up and you're going to keep going. You can do this. You can do this. I close off. If this message was a blessing to you, my link is always in the bio. You can do anything you put your mind to, literally. Even if you got to start with the baby's book, saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And if it's Spanish, A, B, C, Che, and just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. However you got to do it. However you got to do it. You climb and you maintain. You climb and you maintain. Whatever you got to do to get to the next. Whatever you got to do to get to the next. Just keep going. Keep going. And if you got to open up the Bible from the beginning and start with Genesis. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. In the beginning, God created. However you got to start, just start and keep on going. Simon Peter, do you love me? Simon Peter, do you love me? Then feed my sheep. Go feed God's sheep. I love you guys, and I pray that you have an awesome day, and keep going no matter what. I pray that this message was a blessing to you all. Have a good day.
You crying?